I don't know many of their players, so I mean, who knows? Anything is possible. I mean, despite you look at the ranks over here, I mean, it's quite different. But then again, it all comes down to how they work as a team.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, despite how good Ascendancy have been in the past, who knows? These guys can just pull anything out of the bag. I mean, you saw last game, Pengu squad, a team that I had never heard about, doing some of the craziest, most insane players I've ever seen being performed in the Indian scene as far as Indian players go.
Yeah, I'm definitely... I feel like there's always going to be a surprise now because of what we saw in our first match. I mean, Pengu squad just lights out again with their first showing. And obviously, I haven't seen really kind of any of these teams, but with your presence in the scene, you know, obviously having seen a lot of these guys and then having a team like that just come out of nowhere, I mean, that is very impressive to me. Now pushing out, we see both teams actually sporting up a Reaper, obviously with those changes. We saw it in play actually in Lijiang Tower, but it didn't stay out for long, but both of these teams are going to be employing one.
I mean, they couldn't make it work. They just have Winston and Tracer to initiate, but that's not a lot of damage being dished out. Whereas on the side of Ascendancy, you have the Discord and you have the Genji going in with damage, just taking down 4 of them in less than 10 seconds over here. Really? Now we're looking to find that kill on the Tracer, goes all the way to the spawns and shuts him down. Really nice take of the point by Team Ascendancy over here.
Really, really, really good target acquisition as well from these guys on Ascendancy, and that's something that we like to see from those dive comps, is the fact that they can jump on those same targets with Archangel putting out those discords, they find those kills, and that's where you see them cleaning up like they did. Rhea's now sitting at 57% on his ult charge, which is identical to Kid Clone.
Now Discord on the Winston looks like he's gonna go down over there. Now Reaper's on the point trying to get that Lucy over there, doesn't find him. Rhea is doing solid work here on this Reaper.
I mean, they're just mopping them up here. Ascendancy all over the place. Eminem does find that kill, but he is eliminated as Nabu has just been basically the janitor for Ascendancy, as he's just sweeping them up later on after the fight is finishing up, just finding these kills late. Now it has the Dragon Blade, and you can see Ascendancy looking very, very similar to Pengu Squad in terms of their dominance early on. And they do have a couple of ults to work with here, but have to fall back to the point. Pulling out the blade, that's going to be Nabu looking to clean up. Well, Zari gets moved off the map by the Lucio. Really fun plays over here. Winston being the only one left over here. Self-destruct going off. I don't know if that was a misplay or a misclick, but I mean that self-destruct wasn't worth using over there. Despite having all that said, they just used 2 ults and wiped the entire team. And they still have 4 ultimates to spare. The Sound Barrier, the Transcendence, the Primal Rage, and the Death Blossom. Yeah, having 2 of those support ults is huge for them, because at this stage in the fight, I mean, if you get a really slow fight here, which is obviously not going to be the case, they're going to wipe them so fast, TVM. I mean, they have been just all over the place, just murdering these guys. Kid Clone finally going to find 2 kills for them as he goes ahead with his own Death Blossom. But, I mean, they need more than that. And Nabu, again, uncontested in the back, going to be pressuring out this Reaper. And he cancels him out. Kid Clone just shooting himself in the face off the deflect from Nabu. I mean, this guy is...
super impressive work from Nabu.
I mean, he is definitely...
I mean, hats off to this guy. He's one of the first players to emerge in the Indian scene, and he's been a very prominent force since then, being in different teams. But I've seen him at his true potential in Team Ascendancy. He's really been brought out over here because not only does he play DPS, he's a flex player for Team Ascendancy, and he is just beautiful with the way he plays and synergizes with his team.
I thought you were going to say he's just
initially had his... I did. The way he plays. The way he plays is just amazing. This guy can play any role and he just does work. Like, even his Pharaoh, it's super good.
Man, alright, so now moving into this next map here on Ruins. Not surprising to see a Widowmaker. I mean, we'll have to see if it actually goes through, as a lot of teams, you know... Oh, he has the gold gun, so I imagine he's going to stick to this, so...
Oh yeah, Pierce, so he was one of the... I mean, in my opinion, he's... No offense to anyone else, but this guy's the best. Easy, best tank and possible DPS player if he decides to do it. But okay, swaps up to the Diva. Probably a call by Archangel over there, since he's a shot caller for their team.
Alright, so he's gonna swap off Ruins. Not too crazy though to see a Widowmaker in play on this map, as there's good sight lines for a Widowmaker, especially to try to deal with.
A lot of open ground for the Widow to work over there.
A lot of line of sighting as well if she needs to, you know,
duck away and everything like that with the grapple, definitely having a lot of good use. Now Eminem getting pressured out a little bit by Piercer, just looking for some opportunities to kind of mitigate some of that pressure that's going to come out from him. And they've already found 2 kills here, TBM. I mean, they, again, look very... Oh, Archangel, I thought was looking to be able to get that right-click full cancel onto Eminem, but...
I mean, it all comes down to just walking along with your Winston, because if your Winston jumps in, you better make sure your 2 DPS that dive in go in with the Winston, otherwise there's not really going to be much that's done, because, I mean, any basic team can hold their ground against a single Winston, but you see the Winston initiating and the other DPS just following through. It's amazing to see, really.
Alright, so Reyes now sitting at 73%. Death Blossom, I mean, we haven't seen those crazy wipes from Death Blossom like we used to see back in that that Beyblade meta. I mean, I'm assuming you guys had that over here as well, right?
Oh yeah, we did a long time ago. Now with the Reaper being back in the meta, it's really interesting to see that come into play though. But again, you don't see an Ana on any side, so it doesn't really make it all that more prominent like it used to be with all that damage being dished out by Reaper.
Plus that Ana, you know, the change to the Ana boost as well, the Nano doesn't have that speed, so he's not able to just kind of whip it into 5th gear and you know, just run through your team. But yeah, it's a little different. You know, the Lucio speed boost can definitely kind of cover some ground for you, but it's nowhere near what you used to be able to do. But nonetheless, they are going to be jumping back onto the point. Nightmare going to be forced to pull out that Primal Rage, just trying to stay at the point. But Reyes
by surprise, and the Dragon Blade, and you see the Faru being taken down by own rockets due to the deflect from the Winston over there, because of how close he was. But they still managed to hold the point.
That's so crazy that despite those ultimates that are coming out, I mean, Ascendancy is so good at peeling back, finding a really good position for us. Oh, Eminem almost taken out. I mean, huge headshots coming out there from Nabu, who's been able to generate these swords very, very effectively, and he's already sitting at 40% despite just pulling his out. Good discords as well. I mean, Ascendancy as a team, like you were saying before, it really just depends on how they play as a team, and Ascendancy looks to just be the better team. I mean, obviously mechanically they look really strong, but not right now, maybe, with the game. Nabu was struggling a little bit for the Lucio kill, but found it in the end.
And they have 2 ultimates to spare. You see Transcendence going up by Archangel and the Sound Barrier. They just have the Diva Bomb. Are they going to use it if they're not able to hold their ground? Doesn't seem like they will. As PSO looks to find this Reaper, who he does, and the Tracer, which Nabu gets a final kill onto, and wow. That just happened really quick, and Zelda stuck to finish it off.
Death Blossom as well coming out there from Reyes at the very end, just to make sure that if anybody decided they wanted to get onto that point, that they were not going to be living for very long. Now going into this 3rd map, it could be potentially map point, and that will take us into our 2nd map. Of course, though, if you guys don't know, if you're watching here, round of 8 is going to be a set map pool, just like the round of 16. We start off here in Ilios. We will move on to Route 66, and if we wind up having a tie game there, we will move on to Hanamura to decide the victor of the round of 8 match that you guys are watching. Be moving on into the semifinals, where then Overwatch Draft will in fact be used. If there's maybe a little bit of bugs with Overwatch Draft, we have a little bit of methods behind the scenes with our great admins in the background, making sure that we have our map pool sorted and everything. So definitely shout out to our admins, doing a fantastic job so far, making sure this is a very smoothly run tournament. Now, getting back into the game, though, Ascendancy looking to, you know, have a little bit of a similar performance to what we saw the last 2 maps, trying to find that early pick, and they are going to be bringing out the Roadhog. He already finds a hook, but that's onto the Diva.
Well, unfortunately, he does not get hooked into the well. Was hoping for that to happen.
The unfortunate fact of the matter here is, though...
Nightmare being taken down over here. Zarya building up a lot of charge over here, but it seems like Defamers will be taking this point, having taken down 3 of their players.
We did see a lot of charge go over to Zai on the Zarya, so really putting out a ton of damage. Already at 60-70% now, as he's just blasting, just lasering into Piercer on the Diva, as the defense matrix obviously not able to block out any of that that pressure that comes from the Zarya there. But overall, a really nice start for Defamers, who, you know, haven't looked too solid so far in this match. Oh, Zai almost fell off. He almost walked off the map. Another hook going out onto Piercer.
On the side of Team Ascendancy, besides being able to dish out more damage, is more of the disadvantage, because you have a McCree and a Reaper. You might most definitely want to have a Reaper if you're gonna, Lucio if you're gonna want to push in, which is what I feel whole Team Ascendancy back over here.
Both Deadeye's going out. Punk getting pressured now. A little help there it seems, from Nightmare 2K, and they do even this one out, and they take the point, actually, despite the fact that we didn't see a full wipe. Ace still trying to contest this for some reason, not really sure why he wants to do that, as Nightmare just walked right behind him, and Ace falls to his death, giving a lot of extra time for Ascendancy to kind of recoup their losses from that last fight, get everybody back up from that respawn, and they will be able to take the lead before this next fight actually even occurs. But so far, I mean, Eminem has gotten a couple hooks, but they've all been onto Piercer into the well, so they haven't been able to get much out in that regard. And on top of that, Reyes has been able to put some pressure on him.
They should probably just switch out this Roadhog because it doesn't seem like they're doing any damage on her, and it doesn't seem to be working well with the Zarya as well, since she's not been able to build up that much charge.
I mean, Reyes is almost a hard counter to their two pillar tanks. I mean, Ace and Eminem there are going to be just ripped apart by those shotguns. So it's kind of curious to see them actually going for this composition when Reyes has yet to swap off of this pick. I mean, they're playing into him a little bit here, and as he's able to kind of position himself and get into a situation where his team is on the point, you know, it's definitely going to give even more favor over to Ascendancy. So I'm surprised that we aren't seeing any swaps happening, especially from Eminem, but certainly from Ace as well on the side of Defamers. But they find the hook and they get the kill despite that, and that's going to give them an opportunity to 6v5 here.
Two of them, but you see the Transcendence I'm not sure that was a really smart play because it was just two supports despite having lost one, but they still seem to be holding their ground over here. Tableau start going off and doesn't get anything.
Well, the good news is that we did see an ultimate pulled out. Oh, and Ryder somehow coming away with that kill against the ulting Roadhog. And because of that, with Nightmare just blasting away and Ryder finding yet another kill, that one's onto Ace. Again, great discords from this guy throughout this series. If they win this fight here, TBM, they will take the map and we'll be moving on into Route 66. But Goal, Boops again. I mean, he opened the first fight up for them and allowed them to actually be in the game, but that's not it. It's done.
And yeah, Ascendancy takes it very clean.
And that is insane. I mean, really good performances. I think, honestly, a big standout for me is it has got to be Ryder. I mean, certainly Nabu had an impressive performance on the Genji in particular, but the discords that come out from that Zenyatta are what's basically enabling him to have this performance. I mean, getting those insane discords off and just really good coordination with Nabu especially, they've been able to really kind of clean this stuff up very, very efficiently throughout this series. But moving over into a non-King of the Hill map now, Route 66, things might be looking a little bit different. I mean, we talked about it before with Dorado. Moving from Lijiang to Dorado could be a little bit different, where we did see Pengu just murdering that first map. Ascendancy looking very, very similar. I mean, do you think that going into Route 66 that Ascendancy is going to have a little bit harder of a time versus Defamers, or do you think they're just going to kind of walk all over them like we saw in this last match here on Ilios?
Again, it's really hard to say because you don't see Defamers really doing good work. As you can see, like, their communication fell apart from the second round as soon as they lost the point over there. Like, they weren't even trying. I feel if they do put in a bit more as a team, they should be able to bring it back. But as for now, Team Ascendancy is looking very strong, disregarding whatever comp they might be playing. Mechanically, they are just super players, so expect nothing less from them.
All right, so Ascendancy up 1-0. Of course, this is best of 3 all the way through until the finals, and we will be able to watch both semis, hopefully. That is the plan, at least at this current time. Again, those both being, again, best of 3, then the finals being best of 5, the semis and the finals being with Overwatch drafts, so these teams will be able to kind of get in each other's heads and try to pick out some good maps. I mean, based on, you know, your scrims that you had in the past with Ascendancy, obviously being with this roster in the past, you know, are there any standout maps do you think Ascendancy is very strong or perhaps very weak on that might become a problem later down the line if a team like Team Capitalize, who are now in the semis already and will face them if Ascendancy actually moves through? I mean, that could potentially pose a threat to, you know, either side.
I haven't been with these guys for very long, but initially when they were having a lot of problems with when it came to team comps. As I told you, they used to play a lot of triple tank and soldier when that was still in meta, but regardless, they used to have a lot of issues, and it mostly used to be on 2 CP maps and a few King of the Hill maps where they would have problems. But now with the new meta changes and the new squad, I think when it comes to any map, they should be able to just pull it off if communication is good. I think mechanically they don't have any issues when it comes to any maps, but I feel their strong suit would definitely be Lijiang Tower. I've played on that map with them the most, so I know how these guys, go around with their plays on that map. But I don't think they have any weak map as far as the game goes. But then again, it just comes down to how they are composed at the particular time, because, I mean, not everyone has a good day going, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, it just comes out. I mean, not just for Ascendancy, for any team for that matter. Not just Ascendancy, any team might have those kind of issues. Like, no one's gonna be no one can ever be consistent. That's the given.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I mean, tournament play is all about showing up and being consistent all the way through. I mean, if you ever have that lack of consistency, you're gonna drop a map, maybe drop a whole match along with it, and that is that's gonna cause problems in your tournament play for sure. So going over to Route 66 here. That's not, I mean, obviously you said Ascendancy doesn't really have any glaring issues or anything like that. They just have to make sure that they remain consistent and they have those comms in check. So now moving over into this map, we're seeing Reyes on the Reaper. We've seen him only on the Reaper so far, where we are going to be seeing more than likely a dive, it looks like, from Defamers here. As it looks like Eminem going to be swapping off of that tank role and going over, flexing now to the Genji. We see the Zenyatta coming out as well. I mean, do you think that we're going to be seeing the Hanzo, or do you think it's going to be something else? Or
I think it's just to troll the casters, but then again, you never know.
Well, I mean, the Hanzo...
make that work with the Zarya. I mean, why not?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the Zarya-Hanzo combo has been something that has been used time and time again, particularly, though, on King's Row. Almost exclusively on King's Row, but there have been situations where we have seen it on other maps. I mean, you've even seen it on maps like Gibraltar and stuff as well. So it wouldn't be too crazy, I guess, to see a Hanzo, but I'm not sure how confident I am in the fact that will be actually staying. We'll have to see, because there's a Torbjorn there as well, and I can't imagine that they're going to be pulling that one out either.
Yeah, I guess we might as well wait till the round starts, because you see the Widow coming out now. Yeah. You see their pick starting to fall into place slowly. But disregarding, even if they did run a Hanzo and Zarya, they have the Zenyatta on the other side of Team Ascendancy, so that would play a very big role when it came to having Transcendence, rendering the Graviton Surge and the Dragon Strike completely useless over there.
Alright, so we will see that old dive. Obviously the newer version typically has Diva in play, as the defense matrix is just, so potent, especially right now in this meta. But on the other side of things, Reyes again still kind of on that Reaper. Ryder getting pressured out, has to come down, actually gets great healing from Archangel, so they're not going to be using a Lucio on either side.
Rey's really good at his positioning, being able to get up close to that Genji and just take him down. I mean, they don't really have anything that's, pro damage enough to contest that Reaper as far as killing him goes. So I don't really see him being killed this entire round, in fact, if they don't switch up their comp to a more damage-based comp, which is what they aren't doing, because, I mean, a dive isn't going to work against a Reaper. If he gets up close, he's going to kill you immediately, and a Reaper this good should always, be the focus of the enemy team, because if they take him down, that's when they find their opening, because they are lacking so much damage over there once that Reaper's gone.
Yeah, I really like the way that they're playing this Reaper against the dive, because, he's just kind of sitting next to Ryder, making sure that if anybody tries to dive him, he peels them off right away, because with that close quarters style of kit, I mean, obviously, like you said, very, very strong at peeling these guys off, especially the tanks that try to go in on him, guys like Ace, who want to be able to get in there and create some distance. They're not going to be able to do that, because Reyes will just be able to rip them apart, and he's doing just that. I mean, look at this, Winston just getting torn apart.
It looks like, beautiful sleep down on the Genji over there, and followed by the Nano Boost. Archangel just showing his insane play on Ana over there, but still being taken down. But was it really worth the risk of that Nano Boost? Because they... Okay, wow, never mind. Ascendancy still being able to hold their ground over there with the self-destruct and Reaper. But you have 3 on each side that are pushing the point and defending. Maybe they might be able to hold this, I don't know. Well, all depends on whether they come back fast enough or not.
Yeah, no Lucio.
Considering they don't have the Lucio, exactly, yeah.
So we will see, though, Ryder having that Transcendence. He wasn't able to get it out in the last fight, so now he will have it here. And I imagine he's going to want to pull it out. We see a Discord and a Biotic Grenade onto Ace, and they find that kill so easily. And now, as long as they can keep Ryder alive long enough for him to get his Transcendence out, they should be able to do quite well in this fight. They want to hold it here. Oh! Couple of easy headshots from Ryder as he eliminates Eminem with ease. And now 125 on the clock here. Goal getting pretty close to having a Transcendence of his own, but obviously that could be potentially canceled out by Ryder's. We'll have to see. I mean, Zai not going to have that Graviton at all, I don't think. To see if he's able to generate that quickly, or if he's just not going to be able to
calling get it. For the pause over here, Team Ascendancy. What do you think that Defamers could do? Because they're not really able to find an opening despite using the ultimates over there. Do you feel it's lack of damage or lack of communication? Because I think their DPS line is getting healed really well, but I think when it comes to the dive, no one's really going in or coordinating with Vincent, so they really need to switch that up if they're going to make that work over there.
Well, a major issue, obviously, is the fact that every time they do go in for the dive, Ace is just getting ripped to pieces by Reyes. I mean, you know, they either have to find, you know, a different target where Reyes isn't right next to, or they have to switch things up entirely, because obviously Ace going in there and not being able to dish out any kind of damage and almost getting picked off every time he does is a huge problem.
As soon as he jumps in, he gets Discord Reaper doing his work along with the Diva.
And that's a huge problem. They lose their main tank every time they try to jump into this fight, and it allows Ryder to hold on to this ult for an extremely long amount of time. I mean, he's never really been pressured except for that one time where they lost that fight to an extent that he's had to pull out his Transcendence. It's just never happened because the rest of his team has been able to peel for him. And again, they're sitting on a ton of ults. We see the Nano Blade ready to go on both sides.
Hopefully, Team Defamers will be able to pull off a Hail Mary, but then again, you see 3 defensive ultimates on the side of Team Ascendancy, so it'll be really interesting to see how this goes down. I think it all comes down to who uses the ultimates first. This is how that damage. You see the pulse bomb onto Ryder.
Oh, huge mistake to not pull out the ult.
And it looks like it will as he gets the nano boost. Transcendence going off on the side of Defamers. Will they be able to do this? I hope so.
Oh, we do see the DMEC coming out. That's going to be a self-destruct to come out from Piercer.
Kill with the self-destruct over there. Looks like they're going to hold this at the first point.
That was insane, though. I mean, I think it was a huge misplay on the part of Ryder to not pull out that Transcendancy right there. They needed the Zenyatta to be able to stay in that fight. He was isolated in the back, so if he dropped that pulse bomb off by going in vuln, it wouldn't have caused any problems. He wouldn't have killed anybody. He would have been able to keep himself alive with the invuln coming off the Transcendancy, and he would have been able to stay alive. Maybe the Transcendancy would have been a little bit wasted in terms of the healing that would have been coming out, but he still would have been able to stay alive.
See, Yurix, it would have completely dished out the damage of the Nano Blade because the Genji was able to get a pick onto the Ana.
Exactly. So, I mean, I think it was a huge mistake for Ryder to not pull that out there. Just given the timings, you know, coming down to the wire like that, you get pulse bombed, it sticks, you know, you have those invuln frames available, you need to be able to pull that out and use them, and then you try to get the most out of the potential healing that you can get from Transcendence after that, to make sure that you can get yourself back into a different position so that you can, you know, remain effective in the overtime phase of that map. Luckily, though, for Team Ascendancy, Piercer was able to come through and find a triple kill off a self-destruct onto the payload, which was super, super fortunate for them, because if he had not gotten that, I don't know how they would have been able to hold on to that fight. But nonetheless...
Yeah, that's why I feel that Zenyatta comes into play, because even though they didn't have a Lucio, I think he wanted to save that in case they wanted that last-second contest, but that self-destruct just doing the work for them, taking out 3 of them and being able to hold the point as it was over there. Had that self-destruct not been there, I feel that round would have played out very differently, but definitely Defamers really tried their best over there on that point, and they could have done it if they, you know, play their cards well, because, I mean, taking out a Zenyatta with Transcendence and having to push in with your team, they should have actually won that fight, but then what happened over there?
So... now we will see them changing up their comp finally here to try to contest the fact that Reyes has just been eating Ace alive. So now he's going to be going over to the Reinhardt. He has that extra little bit of protection from Zai still, who's going to be remain onto that Zarya. I would still kind of like to see a Diva in play here if possible, but try to play the long-range game a little bit, and maybe get some Tracer action in to force Reyes to get those rates out so that he can become a vulnerable target for them with those Discords. But you know, he's just working his way in. You can see him just feeding himself through that backside. He does get sighted out, and they do go for the sleep dart, but it is going to miss their TBM. And they already found 2 kills as they jumped up. I mean, basically, it happened so fast.
They lacked a lot of DPS because Eminem was just running around the back the entire time trying to find their supports. I mean, running a Trace on defense is good, but then your other teammates don't have a good line of sight given this map, so they're not going to be able to call out targets that are low, and the Trace is not going to get there in time to kill them. But you see everyone just being taken down, decimated by that Reaper over there, just doing solid work over here. This team completely staggered over there.
This is basically over. I mean, pushing into the Reaper, they're never going to be able to get back on here without a full regroup, and they just don't have the time to do that. And with ease, Ascendancy take this map, and not only that, but take the match 2-0. Very dominant performance. I mean, with what we've seen, I know this is very early to call. I know this is extremely early to call, but with what we've seen, I mean, Ascendancy and Pengu Squad definitely look like favorites to see each other in the finals at this stage because of the dominating performances that we've seen. Again, very early to tell something like that, but just saying, these guys have definitely impressed me, both of these squads.
This would be a really interesting play because I wasn't focused on the D.Va over here. I mean, did he just... Oh, he just left it on the payload and he ends up getting 3. Incredible play over there. Wow, PSO.
That was basically round saving, the fact that they were able to get that because, you know,